Hello, this is Kimberly Scott, former video girl and now podcast rookie. I am here today with Miss Patty Pusateri on my podcast to share her medical condition with me to explain and educate the world about spinal fluid leaks. So tell me, when were you diagnosed with?
It's called CSF.
Okay.
Cerebrospinal fluid. And I was diagnosed in January of 2016.
Okay.
I first started noticing symptoms in August of 2015. I had ear surgery because my ear was full and I had lost hearing.
You started noticing symptoms. Did you know that that's what you had at the time, or how did you go about?
I was not diagnosed until...
What were your symptoms?
My symptoms were no hearing, nausea, fatigue.
And what did you think it was?
Well, I was with an ear doctor, and the ear doctor did ear surgery, hoping to make it better.
Oh.
It didn't. And so I went to my PCP, my primary care physician, and she did an MRI. And
that's when they discovered it?
Well, I took it back to the doctor who did my ear surgery, and he said, oh, this has nothing to do with it. Just forget it. And so what it was on the MRI is I had a sagging brain, a brain that was sagging.
Okay, I don't mean to laugh, but that's like...
It does. It falls down because there's no fluid to support it.
Oh, okay.
And the lining of my brain was very thick.
Okay.
Which also happens when the fluid comes out of your dura, which is the covering of your brain and your spine.
Wow.
When it decreases, your brain sags and the lining of your brain gets thicker.
Wow.
So he said, well, this doesn't mean anything. We need to do another ear surgery, because I still couldn't hear.
But why did he keep saying that it didn't mean anything? Is because he had never come across this before? Was this some kind of rare case?
It's very rare.
Okay.
It's very rare.
Like, what's the percentage? One in a bazillion?
One out of, I don't know, a million or something.
Okay.
It's, like there's only 3,000 people
on
the leaker page. So, anyway, he said I need to do another surgery, and I said, no, I don't think so. I would like to be referred to a different doctor.
Okay.
Referred me to Dr. Isaacson at UT Southwest. He went in. When I went in and talked to him, I said, I have no hearing. He said, well, you have small ear canals. We need to do another surgery. I said, well, I have an MRI, and the MRI says she possibly lacks spinal fluid and low spinal fluid pressure. The radiologist this almost never happens, but he looked at the MRI and was able to tell that, and it was written down. And Dr. Isaacson said, let me see the MRI. Got him the MRI, went in, and that day he looked at it and he said, oh, you are in big trouble. And I
That's
said,
not
really?
Good.
He said, this is totally abnormal. And I had no idea about any of this.
Yeah.
I had no idea about spinal fluid leaks. I didn't know there was such a thing.
Had this doctor ever seen anything? The second doctor, the specialist that you know?
He had never seen it, but he knew about it.
Okay, good.
So, which is great.
Yeah.
Because so many doctors turn people away and say it's all in your head. So
when it was in your ear and your head, literally, not figuratively.
And it was falling out of my head.
Yes.
Anyway, so I... went to him, went to a neurologist, went to a neurosurgeon at UT Southwest. I did, one of the things they do for spinal fluid leaks is they patch you. They do a blood patch. They squirt blood, sometimes with glue, into your spine and hope that it seals the hole that you have.
Hope. And what if it doesn't?
It did not.
Okay.
And
in your case, it did not. The hope.
Well, I had the blood patch. Then I had a cysternogram, and they put like little tampon things in my nose and in my ears.
I remember seeing those.
Yes. And it said I had a leak in this ear. So Dr. Isaacson did surgery, never found the leak, closed me up, said, you know.
You're good to go?
This is beyond me.
Oh. He didn't even say you were good to go.
Anyway.
He couldn't do anything.
He couldn't, well, beyond what he'd already done.
Okay.
Sewed me back up, said they did another myelogram to make sure, absolutely sure after surgery, there wasn't a hole in my ear, someplace in my ear. There wasn't. We determined between the radiologist, the neurosurgeon, the neurologist, and Dr. Isaacson that I probably needed to go to Duke. So I went to Duke in North Carolina, got all my records sent there. They did...
That wasn't easy, I'm sure.
Oh, no. It took me 6 months.
Wow. Okay.
Anyway, and it, you know, that was in 2016. So
even with everything being electronic?
Like it doesn't matter. You cannot send records to Duke electronically.
Oh, everything has to be mailed.
You have to fax them or you have to mail them because they don't want them to go into the iCloud.
Okay, got it.
So most medical records are that way.
Okay.
Anyway, finally got the records sent over, got my doctor, Dr. Amron. He did LP, which is a lumbar puncture, to see what the pressure in my spine was. It was 6, which is very low. So they knew I had a leak someplace.
Had these physicians at Duke seen this before? Like, are they, you're somewhere, they're able to really help you? Like,
yes.
They're not
They are the leak specialists.
Got it.
Duke is the leak specialist and Cedars-Sinai is the leak specialist for spinal leaks.
Okay.
If you have a cranial leak, there's a Dr. Hepworth in Denver.
Okay.
Who does cranial leaks.
Got it.
Anyway, so I knew to go to Duke.
Okay. How did you get your direction?
I ended up looking up anything to do with spinal fluid leaks and found out Dr. Gray at Duke was probably the foremost neuroradiologist in the United States, actually in the world.
Wow.
And so...
Just using good old Google.
Yeah. I sent her a note. I sent her an email. I got her email address. I sent her an email, and in the subject line, put desperate in caps.
Aww.
And then just quickly bullet pointed my symptoms, bullet pointed what had happened to me, and bullet pointed I'd had 2 ear surgeries, whatever. I got a note back the next day, send your records. And then that started the 6 months of trying to get my records. I found that UT Southwest records, the way they do their records, does not translate to Duke. So we had a little problem there. But we finally got it. Come for a myelogram and come for a blood patch. So I went in November of 2016 and had a myelogram and had my first blood patch, which lasted about 3 days.
What's a blood patch?
The blood patch is where they put the blood with glue sometimes, or sometimes fake CSF, which is Elliott's B. They put it into your spine and hope that it gravitates towards the hole that there is in your dura.
Wow.
And it develops a scar tissue and plugs the hole. Well, that didn't work. So
there was a lot of things going on with you that wasn't working. That's frustrating.
I went for the second blood patch. No, I went in December. They wanted to do something called a dynamic myelogram, which is they put you on a table. This sounds weird. They put you on a table. They hook your ankles.
And they turn you upside down?
And so you're they tilt the table so that, and there's 2 doctors in there. And while they're making the dye, they shoot dye into your spine. While they're making the dye move around your spine, they're telling you to hold your breath.
Wow.
When they see an area that could be a leak or could be, have a cyst or whatever.
It sounds weird, and the image in my head.
I like medical things, so it didn't bother me. A lot of people have to be put out.
Yeah.
Have to be anesthetized to do stuff.
So
like
you
that.
were awake when you...
I was awake, yeah. I was awake.
Crazy.
In fact, I was awake.
You're a tough cookie.
Yeah, when they did the myelograms and everything, I was awake because the screen was right in front of me. And I could see the needle going into my spine and where it was going and everything.
Wow.
It was interesting to me. Anyway, I had the dynamic myelogram, and when Dr. Amron came out, first of all, he looks like he's 12.
Uh-huh.
And he has no hair on his
Don't
arms.
judge a book by its cover.
Yeah. Smart man. Anyway, walked out and he said, "You're not going to believe this. We have a fistula, the most beautiful fistula we've ever seen."
And what's a fistula?
What a fistula is, it's a little veiny thing that connects two body parts that shouldn't be there, that shouldn't be connected. What it was doing was siphoning off
Wow.
my spinal fluid, and it's at T7, which is right between your shoulder blades.
Mm-hmm.
And it was siphoning off my spinal fluid.
Wow.
And so he said, "It'll probably be in textbooks." So, I mean, he was all excited. He was.
I'm sorry.
Ask Auntie. She was there. I mean, he came almost skipping in saying, "Oh, we got the most beautiful picture of the fistula." I went, "Oh, yay."
Don't know what you're talking about, but all right.
Hooray. But I was only the 25th fistula at Duke.
Wow.
So that's why I get tagged a lot.
Mm-hmm.
During the course of all this, somebody told me, actually the doctors at Duke said, get on the Facebook page. It's called the CSF Foundation. And get on the Facebook page. I wasn't on it during my first blood patch, but I was on it. And now I'm on it a lot because people tag me to find out about fistula surgery.
Wow.
It's like they're suddenly discovering that fistula is a real thing. They were only discovered 2 years ago.
So do you think there were people before you that
Oh, yeah.
that just were going through that pain? I remember when you first you're like, there's something wrong. I don't know what's wrong. Like, I can't hear. Like, you were dizzy. You had hurt. Yeah, always had headaches or
terrible headaches.
Yeah, so you
terrible.
So before the very first one to the 25th one, people might have been walking around. You have to live with it?
They can have a spinal fluid leak, not necessarily from a fistula. A fistula is an oddity, but you can have a spinal fluid leak. The mean age for spinal fluid leaks is 42.
Oh, okay.
Part of it is, most of them are women, and part of it is due to epidurals.
Oh.
And a lot of women during childbirth, when they get an epidural, they nick the dura, which is the lining of your spine and your brain.
The dura.
They nick it, and that makes a leak.
Wow.
So I have a friend who has a 12-year-old grandson who just had a spinal fluid leak because he's in chemo, and they have to do the spinal tap. And during the last spinal tap, he got a leak. She texted me and she said, "What were your symptoms?" Da, da, da. And I said, get them to patch that. They didn't patch it for like a week, but as soon as they did, his headaches were gone. It's instant when your headaches are gone.
Yeah. So your symptoms again were like real short. Like, what were your symptoms? Headaches?
Symptoms were horrible headaches, dizziness, nausea, fatigue.
Okay.
Everybody's symptoms are pretty much that. The hardest for me was fatigue, and the second hardest was headaches. I was pretty functioning. Many people are flat on their backs in bed for years. Yeah. 6, 7, 8 years until somebody can figure out what's wrong with them.
Wow. So your doctor said get on the Facebook page.
So I was able to communicate with people and find out exactly, what may be happening or, how bad was the surgery. I made a decision. He said we could do another blood patch, but a blood patch for a fistula is only 25% success rate. Mm-hmm. If you have surgery, it's 95 success rate. Mm-hmm. And I said,
95.
Surgery.
Let's do some surgery.
So in February 2017, I had laminectomy, where they go into your spine and take out 3 laminae, which is 3 little bones. And they went back in and found the fistula and clamped it off and, grafted it.
Took a lot of pictures of it for the medical books.
Yes. And then sewed me back up.
Wow.
And the recovery was a year.
Uh-huh.
No BLT, bendy, lifting, twisting.
No BLT, not the sandwich.
I'm still stuck with the ear situation. Mm-hmm. That has nothing to do with the leak. They finally figured out, but that's been a big deal. Yeah. So, anyway, that's it.
So, where would you recommend for people to go if they have heard somebody that has these symptoms immediately? Where's the first step? Would you tell them to go check out?
I would tell them to get online or to go to the Leaker CSF Foundation Facebook page.
Okay. Is that an open Facebook page?
It's not opened. It's closed.
So
but
do they have a website they can go to first?
Yes.
Okay.
And then they can ask to be an admin. We'll, screen them and, maybe because it's so helpful of where to go and what to do. Mm-hmm. And it's also, there are people who's suicidal over this. We've had 3 or 4.
Wow.
One guy in particular, he lost his wife 5 years ago. And there's a whole wing dedicated to her at Duke. Wow. So,
good for you for sharing your story to let others know that it is rare, but it's not unheard of, and sharing your story. And
you know who else has it?
Who else?
Quick? Steve Kerr of the Golden State Warriors.
Really?
Yes. He dropped out of the playoffs 3 years ago.
Really?
Because of that. Because he just couldn't function. He started at Stanford, went to Cedars-Sinai, and was finally sealed at
Stephen Curry.
Duke.
Stephen Curry, right?
The coach of the Golden State
Warriors. I'm sorry. I was thinking of the basketball. Okay, wow, really?
Well, it is
basketball.
I know. Steve Kerr of the Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
And George Clooney.
On
the movie set, he fell and he punctured his dura.
Dura.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So the dura is a covering. It's one piece. It goes all the way, encompasses your brain and goes down your spine.
Wow, that's amazing. So 2 famous people, I'm sure there are more that probably didn't make it very public, and a whole slew of folks on your Facebook group private page, which, like you said, you could ask to join, but go to the website. If you could go back and tell just one thing to someone, would there be anything differently to make the process go quicker? I mean, because it was pretty long, but because you didn't know.
It wasn't long.
It wasn't?
For me, no. For the general population, it wasn't long. It's most everybody is 3 years, 4 years.
To get it taken care of?
To get it diagnosed.
Wow.
Okay. Because so many people don't know about it.
How many years was yours? 2 or 3 years?
I'm 3 years in August, starting it.
So that was
starting
short.
from when I knew I had a spinal fluid leak, it would be 3 years in January.
Okay, and that's short.
Yeah, because I've been sealed for a year and a half now.
Amazing.
So that's short.
Okay, so there's...
And also I'm the second oldest in the United States.
Well, you look fabulous.
There you go.
Well, yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Patty. I really, really appreciate you sharing your story. And I'm going to repeat this website again.
It's the CSF.
CSF.
Foundation. If you just go to the CSF Foundation, you'll see where we have a leaker page. There's several, that you can join for support in going through this. But be an advocate for yourself.
Yes.
You don't get pushed around by doctors. You have to push them around. You are in charge of your health.
Yes. Nope.
They're not.
Correct. Good for you. And thank you for the advice. So I do appreciate you letting me interview about leakers. Am I saying that correctly?
Well, thank you for letting me talk about it.
Awesome. And if you want to continue listening in, go to iTunes and just search Kimberly D. Scott or YouTube. And thank you again. And until next time, stay positive and keep growing. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.